On this channel, I usually talk about the best graphics cards that you can buy right now. But even then, some people send me their PC list with a terrible graphics card in terms of value, so I have to make this video. I will talk about the 5 graphics cards that you should always avoid if you want to get good performance for the price. I will explain the reason on why you should avoid each graphics card, and I will also give you the right GPU in terms of price to performance as an alternative. And those alternative GPUs that are going to be much better are going to be linked down in the video description with the latest prices and availability in your region. My name is Valentino. That being said, let's start. So with the number 5, we have a really bad graphics card, but it is at my number 5 because it's not the worst one, but I will explain why in just a moment. This is the RTX 4080, not the super version, only 4080. And this graphics card, while being one of the best GPUs out there in the market in terms of gaming performance, it is still one of the worst GPUs that you can buy in 2024. I know this sounds confusing, but let me explain why. The cheapest RTX 4080 is going for $1,140, which is already a ripoff. Now, the fact that the RTX 4080 Super is slightly faster, well, almost the same graphics card actually, and it's going for $1,000 for the cheapest model, then it doesn't make any sense to buy the RTX 4080. Don't get me wrong, the 4080 Super going for $1,000 is not the best value graphics card out there, that's for sure, but I mean, if you can afford it and you're looking for a high-end graphics card, there's no reason why you are going to buy a 4080 that's going to be more than $100 more expensive for slightly worse gaming performance. The only reason why I can see someone buying the RTX 4080 non-super is because maybe you get an amazing deal on the used market. Let's say you can get it for around $800. Well, in that case, it makes sense to go with the 4080. Or if you want to buy a pre-built PC that has a 4080 in it and the price makes more sense compared to other pre-built PCs in the market. Otherwise, if you are just building a PC yourself with a brand new graphics card, there's no reason why you should buy the 4080 instead of the 4080 Super. Unless you want to throw $100 and you love Nvidia so much that you want to give them your money for free. Now, this GPU is at number 5 because even though, yes, you are throwing money if you buy this graphics card, you will be happy with the level of performance and you will be getting one of the best graphics cards in the entire market. So you will be getting a 4K and 1440p resolution top tier level of performance anyway. With the next graphics card, we have the RTX 4060 Ti 8GB version. Now, the 4060 Ti comes in 2 models. One has 16 gigs of VRAM and one has 8 gigs of VRAM. The 16 gigs of VRAM is not going to be in this list and I will explain why in a second, but the 8GB version I just hate in terms of value for both gaming and content creation. You see, when looking for a new graphics card to play at 1440p resolution or even 1080p very high demanding titles, you want more than 8 gigs of VRAM unless all you're going to play are easy to run games at 1440p or you are okay with turning down the settings to medium in high demanding titles. But honestly, considering that this graphics card is almost $400, having 8 gigs of VRAM is unacceptable. If you have around $200 to $300 to spend, then 8 gigs of VRAM might be fine depending on the games that you play, the resolution and the settings. But when we talk about a graphics card that's $400, you expect at least 12 gigs of VRAM, which is going to be fine for most games at 1440p resolution. Because let's be honest, the 4060 Ti is supposed to be a 1440p graphics card, and even though the level of performance is actually pretty decent at 1440p, again, if you want to play those high demanding titles, you are looking to lower the graphic settings, otherwise it's going to be a complete mess. Now, on the other hand, if you want to spend about $400, for $350 you can get the RX 7700 XT from AMD, which has 12 gigs of VRAM. That's going to be fine for most games at 1440p resolution and of course 1080p very high FPS in high demanding titles as well. And the 7700 XT is $25 cheaper than the 4060 Ti 8GB version, comes with more VRAM as you can see, and it's going to perform about 14% faster when it comes to gaming performance. So there's no reason why you are going to buy a 4060 Ti compared to a 7700 XT if you want to do gaming. Another big issue that I have with this GPU is the level of performance for content creation and productivity work applications. Now, when we talk about the 4060 Ti 16GB version, I can see why someone would buy that graphics card, especially if you want to do content creation or productivity tasks and Nvidia works better in your applications, which is completely understandable. I mean, most applications for content creation and productivity work better with Nvidia. However, when we talk about the 8GB version of the 4060 Ti, it doesn't make any sense anyway because this video editing software words, if you want to run them at a higher performance, you need more VRAM. So the 4060 Ti 8GB version is just not good value, and I wouldn't recommend anyone to buy it unless you just want to play games like Fortnite, Valorant, these very easy to run games, and you must have Nvidia. Then you might get this GPU, but even then I don't think it's going to be the best option for you. Now, before I show you the top 3 worst graphics cards that you can buy right now, I want to say that if you are finding valuable information so far, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon. That way you get notified when I upload new content and you get to learn more about computers. Now, in the top 3 we have the RTX 3050, both the 6GB version and the 8GB version. And where do I start with these graphics cards? I mean, both of these are terrible value, but I'm going to start by talking about the 6GB version. This GPU just doesn't have enough VRAM for games at 1080p, especially if you want to play those high demanding titles on high to ultra settings. So the only time where the 3050 6GB version is decent is in easy to run games. And I'm talking about games like Minecraft, Roblox, Valorant, GTA 5, these type of titles. The lowest priced model for the 3050 6GB version is going for around $165, which is a complete ripoff considering the level of performance that you get. For about $10 more, you can get the Intel Arc A580, which is going to be way faster than the 3050 6GB version, and it also comes with 8 gigs of VRAM, so you get those extra 2GB of VRAM, which is going to be crucial for 1080p in high to ultra settings in some games. And by the way, when I say it's way faster, I mean way faster. It's about 60% faster on average in terms of gaming performance compared to the 3050 6GB. Now you can see why the 3050 is so bad in terms of value. Then for the 8GB model, well, you get faster performance than the 3050 6GB version, and you get 8 gigs of VRAM, so it's not as terrible, but then you have to keep in mind that the price for this one is $200, which is a lot. If this graphics card was at least $30 cheaper, then I would actually recommend it because it's actually a pretty decent 1080p graphics card. But when you consider that the RX 6600 from AMD is $10 cheaper and it's going to perform about 25% faster on average in terms of gaming performance, it doesn't make any sense to go with the 3050 8GB model. The 6600 has more performance, slightly cheaper price, and it has the same amount of VRAM. Now, the only reason why people buy RTX GPUs is because you get a better level of ray tracing performance and you get DLSS, which is the better upscaler compared to AMD's FSR. Now, at this price point, the ray tracing performance doesn't matter because it's just not there even for Nvidia, which makes sense for GPUs under $200. And then I would never recommend you turning on DLSS at 1080p resolution because it's not going to look as good as 1440p or 4K when using DLSS or FSR. Now, that being said, there's nothing that the RTX 3050 has that's actually much better than the 6600, so for that reason the AMD option is much better, especially if you want to do gaming. Now, with the number 2, we have the RX 6400 from AMD. The 6400 is one of the worst graphics cards when it comes to price to performance. The price is $120 for the cheapest model, and you may be thinking, oh, that's a very cheap price. And yes, it's actually cheap, but cheap doesn't mean good budget graphics card, not at all. The 6400 has 4 gigs of VRAM, so the only games that you can play here are esports games on the lowest preset, or if you want to play games like Minecraft and Roblox, that's going to be completely fine. But even then, I could never recommend it. If you have around $120 to $130 to spend, go to the used market and get the RX 5700 XT. This graphics card has 8 gigs of VRAM, so double the amount, and in terms of performance, it's going to be 235% faster compared to the RX 6400. So you are getting a graphics card that has double the amount of VRAM and more than double the amount of performance for about the same price. Sure, you might be thinking that the RX 6400 is brand new and the 5700 XT is from the used market, and you are completely right. I would rather have a 5700 XT that's way better in terms of performance and is going to handle most games at 1080p high to ultra settings, so I avoid getting the 6400, which is an entry-level, very basic 1080p low to medium settings graphics card for the same price. And with the worst graphics card that you can buy in 2024, in my opinion, is the RX 6500 XT. And it's very easy to understand why. I mean, this graphics card goes for $140 for the cheapest model, and it has 4 gigs of VRAM still, so the same amount of VRAM as the 6400. Sure, the level of performance for the 6500 XT is slightly faster than the 6400. It's not as trash when it comes to gaming performance, but having 4 gigs of VRAM is a limitation when it comes to 1080p high to ultra settings or even medium settings in some high demanding games. So So if you buy this graphics card, expect to play those same type of games in Minecraft, Roblox, Valorant, and those type of games, because if you want to play anything that's a bit higher demanding, then you are going to be utilizing more than 4 gigs of VRAM, and it doesn't make any sense. For around the same price, for 140 bucks, well, you can either spend less and go with the 5700XT in the used market, or if you want a brand new graphics card, then you should look at the Intel Arc A580, which yes, is a bit more expensive. You are going to be spending around $35 more, but trust me, you are going to be getting way faster performance. The A580 is about 60% faster, and it has 8 gigs of VRAM, so you can play basically any game at 1080p resolution, even high demanding titles, 60 plus FPS depending on the exact settings, so it's a much better GPU for under $200. And it is also brand new. So those were the 5 worst graphics cards that you can buy right now. However, if you are looking to buy a good graphics card in terms of price to performance, I have a complete video talking about the best budget GPUs for every resolution, 1080p, 1440p, and even 4K. So if you're looking for the best value budget graphics card, then you will have that video in the top right corner of the screen and in the video description, alongside every good graphics card alternative that I mentioned today. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one.